And simultaneous with that, we all have to say, how will we preserve the legacy of Ireland manifest in the lives and giving of the three people who spoke before me, and all the Irish people who have risked their lives in all the countries for the United Nations? How will we do that? I told yesterday in Northern Ireland them exactly what I thought we ought to do there. It's a much smaller problem, and I have a very clear sense of it. I've not done enough study to speak to you with the same conviction, but all of you in this audience know more about it than I do. I just know one thing. Every country that wants to come back has got to have a clear idea of where the growth in jobs and businesses are, has got to have some idea of when and how financing will resume, and has to make darn sure that when it does, you have the people there who are not only willing to take the work, but are able to do it at a high level of skill and productivity. And at the same time, it understands that the United States, no less than Ireland, can be alone in the world. In this interdependent world, you've got to take some of your time, some of your money, some of your passion, and give it to people who are worse off than you are. If we try to build an interdependent world where the positive forces outweigh the negative ones, and we make sure that the next time we make an economic mistake, at least it's a new mistake. We don't do the same thing all over again. We're all going to be just fine here. We're going to be just fine. Get your confidence back. Get your mojo back. Take the bitter medicine you have to take. But this is not the drab, horrible story that drove starving immigrants to the shores of the United States almost 200 years ago. This is a story of prosperity gone awry in the U.S. and Ireland, the U.K., and lots of other places. And we just got to, in the words of my culture, we just have to get our mojo back. And we are going to do it. As we get it back, we need to be concerned about giving it to our friends and neighbors, and giving some of it, or at least how to get it, to the rest of the world. We live in a world where people who are married may get divorced, but people who share a big planet cannot. Whether we like it or not, the things we do here affect people half a world away, and the things they do affect us. And divorce is not an option. So we have to have a strategy for how we're going to keep widening the circle of opportunity. But the main thing I want to tell you is, I don't care how bad it is. I don't care what you lost. If you wake up in the morning and you've still got your mind and you've still got your heart and you can still breathe, it's going to be all right. You just have to go on. Once I was being made fun of by a friend of mine. There were three of us talking, and he said, honest to God, he said, you are the most stupidly optimistic person I have ever known. One time. He said, what is the matter with you? He said, you just get knocked down, get up, you just think everything's going to be all right. And as long as you fight for it. And one of my very Irish American friends looked at the other guy and says, you don't understand. Clinton labors under a terrible handicap. He has the worst of all fates in life. He's a Scots-Irish Protestant from County Fermanagh who was educated in all his formative years by the Catholics. He said, the poor guy has no chance. Keep in mind the legacy of our Celtic past. We never give up, we always get up, we fight, we defend. But we live in a world now where we should fight not just to hurt people, to protect a narrow turf, but to fight to expand our own horizons, to fight to understand a new and challenging world, and to make the most of it. Do you see the story today that for the first time in history, after an 11-year physics experiment, astrophysics experiment, a planet has been identified in a whole other solar system that you can see in amorphous forms in the constellation Libra in the sky. That is the only one our scientists believe has the same conditions we do for human life. It's called Gliese, this planet, in some number or another. And they explained, it's far enough from the sun not to burn up, close enough to its sun to stay warm, proper density to develop atmosphere and water. And they don't know if there's even so much as a slug on it now, but they say human life could be there. Every time you think you know it all, something else happens. But so far, at the outer reaches of what we find, it confirms that it is well to be optimistic, well never to give up, that confidence in human nature is less misplaced than cynicism. The most stunning scientific discovery of the last year, and the only one ever with the promise to unite the disciplines of biology, chemistry, and physics, came through a test with a super collider recently. They send atoms through a chain at very rapid amounts, and it allows pictures to be taken and studies to be made of subatomic particles. People who studied evolution often believe that the world began with a Big Bang. And that's good enough explanation for how evolution started and how somehow we all came out of the premortal slime millions and millions of years ago. But it doesn't really tell you how life began from the point of view of physics, because we are all made up of atoms. And this is what bedeviled Albert Einstein when he tried to develop a unified theory of matter. All physics theory held that the positive elements and the negative elements within every atom had to more or less equal each other out in force in order for anything to hold together, including our skin and our bodies, or the table. If so, how could we have ever begun if the negative was always canceling out the positive? So this experiment was done just a few months ago, and these subatomic particles, smaller than protons and electrons and neutrons, called muons, were analyzed, and it turns out that the super speeds revealed that in each of us, the little positive elements, ever so slightly, outnumber the negative ones. And you think about it. And so the next time you read Seamus's poetry or the hopes represented in the beautiful songs of your beloved land, next time you wonder whether the Irish peace that began 15 years ago with the ceasefire was basically a lovely interruption in a dreary period of history. The next time you think, oh my God, I'm so much in debt, our banks are so screwed up, we'll never make loans again, none of this is ever going to happen again, I'll never recover where I was. You think about that. Nobody ever said it was supposed to be easy. Whatever happens to us, we won't be like poor Philoctetes, sitting on a stump of a leg for a decade alone on a rock of an island, nor will we be asked to be like Nelson Mandela, to broaden and deepen our heart while somebody takes 27 years away from us. We're just in a little tight here. And every one of us, the truth is, if we were flat broke and had to start again tomorrow with nothing, would have a better chance than half the people alive on planet Earth today, and they too share our future. The legacy of the Irish in the modern world is you have proved we can make peace, you can prove we can make prosperity, and you have proved that we can make a difference in the lives of people we will never see half a world away. Never let your heart turn to stone And if your brain has been solidifying, mush it up a little bit. We're going to be fine together. God bless you.